Good morning, New Eden. Today is May 7th, 2023, and this is the Federation Frontline Report. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and my co host is Samson.
Good morning, New Eden. How are y'all doing?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a fun week. Um, and today we're going to be interviewing beaconBoy SavesTheDay, CEO of the Galactic Hauling Solutions Incorporated, and his bid for CMS this year. So tell me, how's space treating you?
CSM.
CSM. Yeah, whatever,
It's okay.
Words, they don't mean anything. How's it going, Beacon? Is life treating you well out there in space?
Yep, busy moving cargo. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's an interesting concept that you're doing here, and just in general, it's a great service to have. I know that you've done a lot of shipping for Galente. We're always very you know in need of shipping because we're kicked out of Jeddah, so we can't even go there. Although I think that it's a dangerous spot to go even if you are Keldari. It's just live in Losec if you're going to be faction workers, I say. But
Yeah, since last year we've moved 3,000 contracts, many of them from Jeddah, to the Gal Mill front lines to keep you guys stocked up. And you can thank Hungary for that. That's one of your corporations.
yeah, one of Gal Mills Corporation's Hungary, very very helpful to the war effort for sure. So tell us, how did you get into Eve Online? Like, when did you get into Eve Online, and how did you get into Eve Online?
Oh gosh, that's like 15 years ago, and I ended up just dropping down in the middle of you know just some random place and started doing courier missions. So I started actually hauling from the start, but it was NPC, bit of a grind, and I appeared about the same time Jump Freighters suddenly appeared on the scene, but I wasn't smart enough to go do them. It took me a couple of years to finally migrate to doing Jump Freighter hauling, which is what I focus on now and have for the last 10 years as I've run Galactic Hauling Solutions.
Oh wow! So you've been doing this for like 10 years of
Wow,
the hauling industry. I always find that interesting that there is like a trucker um, profession, in Eve Online. That's not just important, but it just is something that no other game has. The
Yeah,
idea of having to have logistics to get your stuff to the front line when normally it's like I just go to the kiosk and buy whatever I want wherever I
yeah.
am.
Yeah, hauling underpins almost every activity within Eve. I've always been a little surprised CCP didn't include it in their air career program. That's actually one of the reasons I want to be on CSM, to get a little respectability for hauling in CCP. Um, they could certainly make it easier for both the shippers and the haulers.
Yeah, yeah. So do you use just jump freighters in order to get around at this point? So you're not doing any of the filament stuff that I've been hearing is a new interesting way of hauling stuff, or have you had dipped your toes into using filaments to get stuff moved around?
Well, when you're doing jump freighter hauling, the loads are very large, and pretty much your only other alternative would be a freighter. Freighters can't use filaments because they're capitals, and for that reason, I don't think there'd be any opportunity to really use a filament. Maybe with an Orca, I believe you can use a filament, um, but again, there's a lot of risk I think involved with that. Part of the reason I favor jump freighters is we can go station to station, and we always have that option to dock that comes in handy.
So do you use NPC stations or do you use citadels in order to jump around?
Well, Galactic Hauling is purely NPC stations. We have a no citadels policy. However, as you know, we've been supporting Gal Mill, and that's through our sister organization, Citadel Hauling Solutions.
Right, for citadels.
Right. We have an arrangement, obviously, with Gal Mill that makes sure we can dock up in all the citadels. Um, but pretty much it's a flat rate courier service for anywhere in New Eden except for Nullsec. And pretty much the only reason we don't include Nullsec is the trips would be incredibly long, and bubbles are a nasty thing. When you're flying with a jump raider, you get stuck behind them, and then for days you're waiting for it to clear.
So, one of my things that I understand about jump freighter hauling is that you have to get it to somewhere in low sec, right? Is the you can't jump to high sec at all, and it's low sec or 0.0 that you would be doing your shipments. I'm guessing that you're purely low sec
Yeah,
hauler,
yeah. So it would be 00 would be null, right? And
right?
so not that. We can go into high. We the only capital that can go through the gate is a jump freighter. I will say it's not the safest activity. There are plenty of people hang out at gates and have
And a
nasty
freighter is
ways.
better than a jump freighter for doing movement in high sec because you can't jump unless you can jump to a nearby low sec system, I guess.
Correct.
Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just go through the gate.
okay? Yep. So you can cut off some of your travel time and get around like Udamia or whatever
Uedama?
Dema.
Udama,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a dangerous place. Also,
Gank
thank you
Central.
for the subscriptions, both Steve TV and, of course, our awesome Strength and Samson here. 23 months in a row. 13 months
That's
in
how
a
long
row
I've known you.
Yeah, it's our countdown time. um, yeah, I always found jump freighters to be really interesting. Do you usually like so? My question is in regard to like jumping around and using jump freighters. Would the smartest thing that you would do would be, let's say, if you want to get something to Haydeely's, is that you would jump into Haydeely's, drop off your cargo, and then jump somewhere close to like just where you can just warp to the gate, right, and get into high sec. Um,
Correct. Every jump freighter pilot will know all the low sec systems where there's a station, of course, an NPC station, and a gate going into high sec. So, as an example, or the example you were using there, I would make that delivery, and there's a system, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right, Ignoitin. It's pretty close to Jita,
okay.
and you can go in there and then head to the gate. Now, there's very often um, gankers camping on that gate. They will try to bounce you off. There are definitely techniques you can use to minimize that. And most recently, though it seemed to have settled down lately, they'd even sometimes follow you through the gate with 2 dozen stealth bombers to take you out in high sec once you felt you were all safe and everything was good.
No one's safe anywhere in Eve.
Yeah, but I will say one thing about Jump Freighter that's kind of nice. Even when something like that happens, we have a concept called the E-Sino, the almost emergency Sino. It won't be that Sino that I came in on, right? The one in Ignoitin. It'll be somewhere else. And I have it ready to light. It's undocked. And if I suddenly see a whole wall of catalysts or wall of stealth bombers in front of me, well, I light it. I stay invulnerable for 60 seconds. I break invulnerability and jump out. So jump freighters are kind of nice in that you can get away from a pretty bad situation.
Yeah, it's an exciting life of like because one of the things is that you're usually hauling around, billions worth of ISK, just because of the sheer size of the jump freighter and the stuff that you're usually hauling, right? So that's all
And,
like on the line. What do you do
and
for
you're flying the most expensive ship in high sec.
right?
Yeah, they're really they're like what upwards of 10 bill a piece at least, right? For a
12,
jump
yeah,
freighter.
more like 12
12.
now.
Oh, that was close.
So
Yeah.
I was looking into it.
when you're just traveling back to like Jeddah and stuff like that, are you concerned about somebody jumping or trying to gank your uh, un or the no haul inside of you? You just for being a really expensive ship, is that something that's a great of concern and likely to be a
Yeah,
problem?
they don't care if there's something in your cargo hold at all.
Oh,
they'll they'll
really?
gank, they'll gank you with an empty cargo hold. It's a 12 billion ISK kill mail, just as a starting point, right? So they want that up on their kill board.
What does it take down a jump freighter?
Well, as I said, if you got 24 stealth bombers, that's a good start.
So 24, I
Yeah,
mean, but
good.
you're still paying what, like half a billion ISK?
For
Just
12 billion ISK kill.
it's true. But you're I mean, yeah, you get the kill, but you don't get any
Oh,
actual.
but there could be something in the cargo hold.
There could be
Yeah,
something
there's
yeah,
something in the
when there
cargo.
Right.
is something in the cargo hold, then yeah.
Yeah.
But usually you scan that out first or
Well,
well,
I would never. I wouldn't
Then
give
you
you a
also
chance to scan me.
you
that's
the
also
true.
moment,
need
yeah, the moment you scan
someone
me,
standing by. Grab it.
I was gonna say the moment you're scanning me, I'm letting my e-sign on. I'm out of there. You really can't tip your hat and let me know you're coming for me. It's got to be all at once, and you get one shot at it. And in a similar sense, I only get one shot to get out of there either, too.
So normally from low sec to high sec, how many jumps is there? From low sec to Jeddah.
Well, that system I mentioned, Igniton's probably the closest, and that's IN, Perimeter, and then JITA. So is that 3, right?
Oh yeah, that's close.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, 3 interesting. Cuz yeah, that does
Now, I should point out that's a 0.8 security system followed by a 1.0 security system, right?
Oh wow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
those
high.
Concord response times are
A
going to
lot
be pretty
faster.
damn fast.
hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why they generally like to gank in what is it? Is 0.5 the lowest high sec or is it 0.6?
Correct. Correct.
0.5, yeah. Yeah,
So
because they get like whatever it is. I don't know the times, but it's like you get like almost a minute or something if it's that low.
Have
so
you ever looked at the kill boards by the item group number?
What's that item group number as far as
Well,
kill mails are
like a
concerned?
jump freighter group number?
Oh yes, yeah. So like if you just look at only jump freighter kills,
Correct.
yeah.
And
I mean I haven't looked at jump freighter kills, but I've done that before.
yeah, and you can do the same thing for regular freighters. And
Hmm.
based on who's killing them, you can pretty much tell whether it's a gank group, both by its rough location and how it's killing the freighter.
Yeah, and CQ will actually I think it will there's some parameter or threshold I should say that will label it as a gank as well, but I think I think that's the amount of people.
Yeah, it's up at 100, I think, and
Yeah.
you don't need that many to kill any of these.
No, yeah.
Well, or if you do, it's a funny one where they got a whole bunch of rookie ships and killed the freighter with it.
Yeah. Or when a Titan gets warped gets jumped to what's that place called? Frozen? Uh there's that system where like
oh yeah, the high sec
criminal
system.
yeah. Where criminal titans get teleported to sometimes.
Yeah, the botters.
Yeah, I
Yes.
forget the name of the
I can't
system.
remember what the name of the system is either, but yeah, because I don't go to high sec.
I know I don't go to
Go
high
to
sec
high
either.
sec.
When CCP had that Titan at Jeddah, I was like trying to fly like an assault frig out there really quick, but it had already blown up before I got anywhere near there.
Well, the tie-dye was crazy from what I heard.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
bad.
but I would have went there and waited 15 minutes just to press F1 once and get on the kill. You know?
Although now there's complaints that there is no kill mail for that.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
That has not been
CCP, you got
generated
something to
yet.
answer. Answer to something, man. What's going
Yep.
on?
So I'm really glad I didn't go out and deal
You
with that.
get annoyed.
Yeah,
But
I
you've
stayed
been on
away.
Titan kills, I think, so you're fine. I've
Um,
never been on a Titan kill.
yeah, I think I've got like one Titan that I've shot at. Not probably not more than one though. It's
Well,
actually
that's one
been.
more than me.
I have not been involved in any of these super big, huge, like Titan brawls. I've been in Titan fleets. Like I've had a super carrier, and was out and doing stuff with my super carrier with, um, the other super carrier pilots and the other Titans and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that was really, heart pounding, but it also was like we didn't get, you don't normally get into a brawl. You might kill something, but it's like
Yeah.
very lucky, or somebody's got to screw up usually for a big
Yeah,
fight
well,
to happen.
that's the majority of a lot of the kills that I get that are ridiculous is somebody screwed up. But Beacon Boy, I had a question for you, and that is, I know you're into hauling, which is an awesome profession, and it's totally necessary. We all need it. I can't PvP without hauling. That is a fact. I need ships. They need to be hauled out to the places so I can get them blown up. Um, what are your thoughts on PvP? Do you PvP at all? Or are you interested in it? Um,
I really haven't done much. I tried hot drops with Blops long ago. Probably
that's fun.
it would be the predecessor to Bomber's Bar. It was Dirt
Oh,
Nap
okay.
Squad. If you know history from back
I
then.
do not, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
I actually though kind of liked it for the same reason as hauling though. Um, they had a phrase for the Blops battleship that brings in the hot drop, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
And it's called the pig. And I wanted to be the pig, so I could haul all these ships to the location
Nice,
and get the hell out of there.
nice. Yeah,
But
that's cool.
yeah, it was interesting.
Yes.
It was a lot of waiting though. I found.
Yeah. For
I
Blops
think
fleets, there is. It's waiting. I've only been on like one bomber, no, two bomber fleets in my entire career in Eve. But yeah, it's a lot of waiting. Um, but if you have something to do, or if you have a fun FC, it's still interesting, I think.
yeah, the faction warfare I think stirs things up better, and I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
one of the reasons it's been popular for so long. I've been really glad that CCP's invested in faction warfare. I'm sure we could debate how well they've done it, but for years there they weren't doing anything, and it was a very successful part of the game.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, now they're finally giving it some love.
Yeah, there
Much
is.
deserved.
What do you think of this expansion? What's your thoughts of what they've done with enlistment now that they've got this the shipcaster event kind of going on, and I mean over everything, but the rework of faction warfare. Have you looked into, or do you understand any of the massive changes that they've brought to faction warfare?
Well, if you're asking me, because I'm not sure if it's me or Samson, um, for
Oh,
me,
you.
Beacon,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm most interested in how much more cargo you're going to want me to bring out.
Exactly. Out.
I do know. I try not to get involved with the drama. I got particular people I take marching orders from, and I do know they're a little concerned about this. I guess more individualized faction warfare because I think it makes it tougher on them. Um, because when we started the whole Gal Mill Citadel trial last year, June, so like June 2022, um, everything was going through, I guess, corporations. And for
Mm,
that reason, it was more manageable. So as we hand out, so to speak, free shipping um, to anyone there, we just have to sort of quickly verify and it's easily done. But my understanding is now individuals can just sort of charge in there, right?
Yeah, so you just sit out a 24-hour waiting period, and you can enlist as long as your corporation. And I believe by default, the corporation is open to, like, if you don't do anything as a CEO, then they can enlist in any of the four factions that they want. You have to actually go in and say no, don't allow enlistment to any of the other factions. If you want to limit it, or if you want to say that you don't want people to um, do enlistment in your corporation. Um, it's I think that it has we've seen an increase of it. There was some problems in the beginning with authentication because authentication was going, like you said, easily off of a corporation, and now it's whether or not you are enlisted or not. But it sounds like they've got that kind of figured out now. Um, because we have like comms and stuff like that on like Discord that are authentication based, that you are part of the faction warfare, but the ability to jump in and
Yeah, and
out
they
of
boot
faction.
you out like every month or something. It's super annoying. You got to re-authenticate. I guess the thing that annoys me is there's no warning to it. You just all of a sudden you don't have access to all the channels.
Well, and the other problem, and I mean, I'm just touching on it. I don't really want to go into a lot of the details. Is abuse. If someone's paying for this and having all this cargo moved in there, they sure don't want to like find out the ships are shooting at us, right? Somehow it got to the other side. Now it's being used against us. See my point?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's good reasons to have authentication and verification of some sort. And I think
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
yeah. But I think that's what they struggle with. How do they continue to offer free shipping? It's obviously a
I mean,
successful program. Next
you
month
could
it'll
still
be 1 year
just
old.
limit it to corporations still, and you don't have to enlistment maybe is not good enough to get full benefits, if if that's because it is basically just day tripping, but some people are fully dedicated, um, so
I don't see the day trippers, the enlisters doing as much like having to move stuff. I would think. I feel like they're just like you said, day trippers. They might come in with a few things, or they might you know be someone that's already particularly wealthy in game, and they just want to mess around in faction warfare. And if that's the case, they probably have their own hauler or know someone in their corp that can do it. I still think that your main clients are going to be people like the big corporations, like Hungry for like Gal Mill and stuff like that. Um, and well, but see, like I mean, for us, for example, we kind of like Frozen and I have hauling alts, so we wouldn't normally use
Even
but
if
we
it's
also
free?
don't. Yeah, well, okay. I don't own a jump freighter yet. So, yes, I probably if it was for absolutely, if it was free, I would use it. I'm
even
just
a
saying
jump
that
freighter
like
costs money to jump it around.
yeah, yeah, it does cost money, but I mean like but like we also haven't like we're also a much smaller corporation than say like again like Hungry, just to use them as an example because we're using them as an example. So we don't have as much need for it, right? Like
Yeah,
but
I understand what you're saying. I mean,
yeah.
Hungry was a larger corporation who had designs on setting up a market, doing a lot of industry,
Yeah.
and they, for that reason, wisely set up all the hauling, right? Because the last thing they want that to be is the bottleneck to fully utilizing all the infrastructure they're putting in place. Um,
Yeah.
right. But if you're just there to, you know, go out and do some PvPing, maybe you don't need all that.
Maybe, but we do. I think we
Minerals
could
are
benefit from,
very
especially as we're growing.
well.
Yeah,
I think that it's interesting because one of the big changes that faction warfare did is something that actually makes me want to get a jump freighter haul of stuff moved into lowsec, and that has to do
yeah.
with that BPCs
Manufacturing.
are now extremely LP cheap. So you
Yeah.
can get a bunch of BPCs, get a bunch of minerals and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yes.
To
I like this.
and
I like this idea. I
like
want. I want to manufacture an ass load of Megathron navies So yes, you have my vote for CSM.
Because yeah, the trick
And
in and of
remember, by
itself
the
is
way, if you have
ridiculous.
several
Like,
alts, you pay the 210 million on one alt, and you get one load a month for free, right? But you have that second alt. Put another 210 million contract together for that second alt. Now you got a second load for every month, and you got a third alt.
yeah,
So
so tell us about
Which
your
I do.
bid to what. So
That
what?
sounds like a
So it
deal.
sounds like there's something that's you're doing that's special here. What is you're getting into CSM or CM
Yeah, CSM, you're good.
CSM.
No second
Um,
guess. Just go.
CSM. You
Council of Stellar Management. There
the
you go.
Council of
There
Stellar
you go.
Management. What is but you've got like a unique take that you're doing here. So tell us about your bid here for this
Sure.
elected
Yeah, we've been sort of
position.
dancing around it, haven't we? So with that experience in Galmill, where I saw free shipping being offered in a very successful and sustainable fashion, I decided with my own deep pockets, not theirs, um, to make a bid for CSM. Uh, my intention is to run. My platform is based on improving the experience for shippers, haulers, industrialists. But the real hook is the free shipping. Now, I can say that, but it has to be implementable, and I need to have a list. And I can't tell who's voting for me, right? So the approach I took was to say, I'm going to use a list of all the people who complete a contract between now and the end of CSM, the CSM election, I should say. And if you spend 210 million with me, your next 210 million you're going to spend on shipping charges, um, and you get that load moved with one of my jump freighters, you're now on the list.
Now,
And go ahead.
does that have to be before you get elected? Like,
Yes,
what?
before
Okay,
the
that's
end of
okay.
the
Before you
CSM election,
got it.
right? And if you're on that list, every month of my CSM term, I will move a load for free. The same, you have to do it with the same alt. You can't transfer anything. And it can be the same amount up to 4 billion, fitting in 360,000 meters cubed, or cubic meters, I should say. And I'll move it anywhere in low sec, just like the original terms. Um, it's really, when you think about it, a potential 2.5 billion ISK savings if you used it every month. And what are you investing? 210 million to get that.
You get your first shipment out of that. That's the normal
Sure.
fee for just
The
getting it
moment
shipped.
you get your free shipment, it's paid for itself. So the goal here is to do two things: get you to, you know, spend 210 million with Galactic Calling, right? But it's also to turn you into one of the many people campaigning for Beacon Boy Saves the Day. Because once you've put your 210 million, you have a very vested interest in me winning. It's only as good if I win. And the best part is you got the easiest sell to all your friends who might be spending 210 million on their next shipping. You turn to them and say, "Hey, sitting at the Galactic Calling, now you've gotten them in on the free shipping, right? And I'm that much more likely to be elected."
It's a
I mean,
very
it's there's
capitalistic
it
uh,
it
grassroots movement.
it is, but also, like, if you were going to spend 210 million on shipping anyway,
Right.
Yeah,
why not just
why
give
not?
the potential or the chance to,
So
to get
Samson, get
It's like a
out there and
lottery,
spread the word.
lottery
I'm gonna have
slash
to. So,
grassroots.
I need you
Frozen,
to
we're gonna
evangelize here.
Frozen.
Evangelize.
Let's each get some. Let's get a ton of. We need to make Excura Navy. We need to make Navy ships. I want to make
Yeah,
Megathron navies, Excura navies, Cat navies. Let's get all of. Let's get some shipping done for that. Through Galactic and
That's
yeah.
the ultimate message here. Spend the 210 million. Trust me, you'll find a way to use free shipping, one way or
Yeah,
another.
yeah,
By
that's
the
true.
middle of next year, you know.
yeah.
And
Jump Freighter is really nice. I've had some friends that have tried getting into it. a lot of them wanted to build it on their own. So,
Our
um, but
very
we do
own
have
Doc
one.
tried this.
We do have one right now that.
Oh yeah, we do technically, I guess.
And he's probably overworked. And you have to be asking a
But
favor. So spend the 210 million. No more favors have to be asked. Get out there, spread the word about the CSM election and why Beacon Boy should be in your first spot. Now everyone understands that about CSM elections, right?
yeah,
How the
well,
ballot
it's
works?
it's ranked voting, right?
Right. So put me on that top spot there, right? Gives me the best chance
Oh.
of winning this election.
Me and all 2,000 of my alts, my friend.
Oddly enough, that's about the number I figured is what's needed. So, yeah, exactly. One thing I will point out, just so people can have some confidence, Galactic Holic's been around for almost a decade. During that decade, we've moved over 14,000 contracts. Just for Gal Mill alone, it's completely separate of that, with the Citadel hauling, we moved 3,000 contracts. I've done estimates that show the total market right now for low sec hauling is 12,000 contracts in a year. So
Wow, that's a big
I'm on
chunk.
top of this. I understand what I'm getting myself into, and you can throw as many alts as you want at me, though I do request you throw all your votes to me too.
So is this like a whole group of different people that are, or are you doing are you managing the jump freighter like stuff, or are you actually also doing the jump freighter stuff for the most part, or is that something that like the corporation disperses like different contracts for different people, different time and stuff like that?
Well, you end up making the contract to GHSOL, Galactic Hauling Solutions Inc.,
Okay.
and it goes into our corporate queue. And then all my jump freighter pilots, at least a dozen, many of us have multiple jump freighters, by the way.
Right.
Um, yeah, I'm just pointing out, we have a lot of capacity here. All these jump freighter pilots dip into that corporate queue, pull out the contract and take it. Now it's purely their responsibility at that point. They get all the reward and they get all the risk and they have to put up all the collateral.
Yeah, and
Um,
so there's usually like what 4 billion is collateral is like
correct.
the
Yeah, our
Sounds like
lowest.
independent contracting.
Yeah, it is, and you could think I'm just sort of a manager, but a lot of it just depends. I've really kept Galactic Hauling as simple as possible, and that's why you see only two rates. It's 210 million moves 4 billion. Well, I already said the numbers. But if, for instance, you needed to move up to 7 billion, or you wanted it within 24 hours, our delivery times I think are now 4 to 6 hours. It's really crazy fast.
Wow.
But my point was, if you need, we have a 300 million level service too, but that's it, 210 million, 300 million. That gets all that cargo there. And I've kept it simple because I like to haul. I don't like to manage. I don't like to run a
Mhm.
corp. I'll make an exception for CSM, and I'll give the time for that. But there are times where I'm doing a lot of the moving, and actually, this last month I've done very little of the moving, of the actual cargo. I brought in and I did a big recruitment program last month. Poached a lot of jump freighter pilots from the competition, and well, that's one reason our delivery times are so low right now. I got so many people ready to move your stuff. Bring it, make that contract today and be impressed. And we definitely have enough folks at this point, and so I have to do very little hauling at this point, and it's allowed me to focus on CSM, except for the fact that CCP just delayed it for 2 months.
Yeah. So
That's just more
did they
time to
come about
campaign.
officially and say that they're delaying it for 2 months, or is it still speculation?
It's at least 2 months, and it's not speculation anymore. You can go over to the Council of Stellar Management Eve forum, the official one, and you'll see them saying there July is when they were announcing. They would usually announce in May, so they shifted it out mainly because of FanFest. I believe that's the reason.
Well, that makes sense.
It does. It still frustrates the hell out of me. Well, I mean, maybe I would have held back, but as Samson's saying, hey, it gives me more time for the grassroots effort to work,
Yeah.
right?
There you
Right.
go. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
get the word out.
Did you have any other questions?
So what are some of the like other activities that you've partaken in Eve? Have you done any scanning, mission running, stuff like that, or have you like been really just focused on just hauling in this game?
Well, I keep it pretty tight focused. Part of it is owning a jump freighter. If you're doing, I'd say 50 or more contracts a month, is practically an ISK printing machine. So, you can have a lot of people tell me that, I don't know, nullsec ratting is lucrative, but I'll also point out that, with jump freighter hauling, as long as you have a queue that keeps getting filled, it's pretty lucrative too. Um, I have done a certain amount of industry. I do have supplies, right, for hauling that I make up. Think I've now made my third jump freighter from scratch.
Oh wow,
Right.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a long process. I'll tell you that, but it's good, and the prices were really good. About what was it? Is it 6 months ago? Right when I made it, I think they jumped a lot lately. So it's like more like 7 billion, 8 billion before. Now it's up at 11 or 12.
That's crazy. How much
Yeah,
does it cost to build one?
like I said, I think I spent about 7.5 billion.
Oh, that's not
Uh,
bad.
but now I think it's up to about 8.5 to 9 billion. I'd say.
Oof.
And you do have to have a
Scarcity.
lot of skills though. So you know you just don't build one without planning months in advance. And so I'd done that. And in addition to that, I had the benefit because Hungary has obviously pretty good facilities for manufacturing. So they give you some real nice bonuses and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty tight focus on hauling, a little bit in blops. And I done. I'm just going to allude to it. Work with nullsec alliances, but again, it focused a lot on hauling. And to be frank, I'm not a big fan of nullsec. They have those nasty bubbles, and people come out of nowhere, and they have roaming gangs that appear out of a wormhole, and suddenly it's life's pretty rough. So I really enjoyed my time in faction warfare. I can't say I've done a lot of the PvP, but you know, being the underpinning, I certainly know about all your ops and, and stuff because I'm flying them. It's been really fun. They definitely pushed my hauling capabilities, bringing in citadels to be anchored, stuff like that. And the other one that I really enjoy is when they show up with like 2 hours notice and say we need 20 loads moved here for this op, and it's obviously very time critical. And the guys all get together and you have this massive parallel effort with a fleet of jump freighters coming in, dropping off supplies. So it's pretty cool.
I see stuff like that coming into Yavangir a lot. Like there's just all of a sudden
Yeah.
there's like 15 different like jump freighters that are all of a sudden like coming into Yavangir. It's like, oh, somebody's moving a lot of shit. That
It's
is cool.
probably
What?
popular midpoint, I would imagine.
Yeah. What was the worst load that you've lost? Like, have you ever been ganked with like the
I've lost
jewels?
track of how many times I've been ganked. So when you do it for 10 years, um, I'll start with this, and if I ramble too much, just prod me back to the original question. Um, it's the amount of completed contracts between gankings that matter, and it has to be a minimum of 100. If you have a worse than 1% failure rate, 1% or worse failure rate, you're never going to make enough to cover the cost of your next jump raider,
Wow. Okay.
right?
Wow. Yeah.
And if you're up at 300, you're in a comfortable spot. Just don't slip up too bad or too frequently. Don't have bad luck. Um, well, don't, yeah, well, and if you're running around 500, I'd say you're experienced at that point, and you got nothing to worry about. Your ISK printing machine will always be there in one form or another. You'll probably buy your replacement before you need it, actually. And then I'm probably more at 1,000 to 1,500, probably closer to 1,500 contracts between gankings. You can see I'm at
Nice.
less than a tenth of a percent. Go ahead.
Well, nice. That's awesome. So I do have a question related to that, and that is, what kind of guarantee do you give when someone does spend 210 million to have a shipment out? What happens if it gets ganked? What if my shipment gets ganked?
Right. Well, that's the beauty of CCP and their really clunky contracting mechanism. It has something called collateral.
Oh,
And so you set a collateral worth more than the value. We usually just tell our customers to round up to the next billion,
all right.
as a rough number, and that gets yanked right out of my wallet the moment I get your cargo. Your cargo comes to me in a plastic wrap, so
Hmm.
I can look at it, but I can't touch it, and that prevents me from like pilfering a couple
Stealing.
neat items. And then at that point, I bring your plastic wrap to the destination, complete the contract, and at that point, the in-game mechanism for contracting returns that collateral to my wallet, and also gives me your reward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So then,
so it's perfectly safe for you.
then you would get what? Does the collateral get paid to the client if it gets ganked?
Yes, exactly. What ends
Okay.
up happening is I get ganked. My plastic wrap might drop from my out of my cargo hold during the ganking, and the gankers might pick it up. They might pick up that plastic wrap.
Hmm.
It's based on the chance of it dropping, which isn't that 50-50, though now I think it's
Something
75.
like that.
I
Yeah.
think it's 75-25 now. It may.
75 right now because of the event that's going on, but normally it's
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
50-50.
Yeah. So
Fitty
now if
fitty.
I didn't have a big enough target on my back, now I got even bigger target on my back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at that point, I will never be able to complete your contract, right? That plastic wrap
Hmm.
won't arrive ever. I mean, unless the gankers give it back to me, which is, well, I've never seen it happen.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
they might wave it around in front of you, but you're probably not getting it back. Um, and for good reason. I mean, they can look into it and they know now exactly what it's worth, and you might as well just lose your collateral. Make it simple. Anyways, what happens? There's a deadline for delivery. Like I said, if
Mm.
you get me 300 million, I'll do it in 24 hours. Um, I actually will probably do it in 4 hours, but you get the point. But when the 25th hour shows up and your stuff's not there, you have the option of failing.
Oh,
You don't have to fail,
interesting.
right? You could hold off on failing and fail on the 26th hour, the 27th hour.
Hmm.
Like maybe if I'm running late for some reason. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And because most people want their cargo, they really don't want the collateral. They were moving it for a reason.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if I got ganked and it's gone, you have no choice. You eventually say I'm failing it, and that's when the collateral gets turned over to you in lieu of all the stuff. I will point out something that is a bit shadier since we're on the topic, and that is what happens if you screw up your collateral. Well, at Galactic Hauling, we just point out you screwed up your collateral and we deliver it or we have you remake it or whatever. But if you made a public courier contract and it was in the public queue, you might go and say the collateral's 10 ISK when you really meant to
Mm.
say it was 10 billion ISK.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So anyone who's looking at a public contract queue grabs it, 10 ISK gets pulled out of their wallet, and they go, my God, there's 10 billion here. I'm never delivering it. And then they just drag it back to JITA and break the plastic wrap, meaning they can never complete the delivery, and they sell your 10 billion.
Yeah.
And you, in your fit of rage, go, well, damn it, I'm going to fail that contract, and you get 10 ISK.
Yeah.
The lesson here is don't ever screw up your collaterals.
Well, there's also the other side of the coin on that is that you put 10 ISK worth of items inside of a
Correct.
plastic wrap, put the collateral to 10 billion, and then as soon as it's accepted, like you have like the whole plan to gank out this
Yep.
jump freighter. Although you can't be booshed off of a station, right? Because you're a capital.
Nope. I'm a
Um,
cap. Can't
No.
be
What's
boosted. You
uh,
could boost my Sino.
That's what I was gonna say. I was thinking about that, right? Like I don't know how closely some people are paying attention. Obviously, you might pay more attention than others, but like if I booshed the Sino right before you lit it, and then you lit it and didn't notice that you were booshed and you jumped, then you fucked, I guess, at that point
Sort of,
because you're
sort of. I'll
sort
give
of.
you. I know the mechanics here, and
I
trust
want to
me, when I
know.
see command cruiser around, I keep my eyes open. But you will boost my Sino ship away. You will not boost the Sino.
yeah, you have to boost them
Oh no, I'm
before
saying
they
yeah, you'd
before
have to
they.
boost it before he lit. That's what I'm
Right,
saying, right?
right,
So like
right. Exactly.
if you boost it, like he undocks and you boost it and they're not paying attention, they light the Sino, then they're effed.
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay.
You are absolutely correct with that. Sorry.
I mean
What,
that's a low chance, I guess, but I mean you're saying there's a chance. That's what I was like,
Jump
there's a
freighters are
chance.
harder to hit.
I mean,
Galactica
I
does
might as
point
well try
out
to boost the Sino, I guess is what I'm saying.
if you
If I
do
miss,
like
I missed her.
No harm in
DST
trying.
contracts is the one that's much more likely to get you hit, because it's a little bit harder to set up and stage a catch of a jump freighter. There's a lot of
No,
luck
absolutely.
involved.
There's a lot of luck. But I have some pretty good luck, so I think I need to try this.
There are scam contracts. That means people
Yes.
who set up whole sets of contracts. Just as an example, I really shouldn't be going into this, but my point was
Please do.
that there are ways that it becomes difficult to bring the jump freighter in. Let's say there's an incursion.
Yep.
Ooh.
That that stops all signals from being lit for maybe a week. Right?
There's the ganking it on
yeah,
its
then
return trip.
but
that's
then
not,
it could fail just
not-
because you
doesn't have
can't get it there. Right?
Yep.
Like if because
Oh.
if you fail and there's an incursion and you can't light a Sino there and I say I want it delivered here and you know that incursion's gonna last or have an idea, then yeah, that could happen. I could see that. Yeah, okay.
Well, I do have options though. Can you think what it is? And
No,
I've done crazy shit like this before.
okay, so I would imagine then you would
Jump
the
nearby.
closest thing you could do is jump nearby and then warp through the
Gate in.
gates.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Very
but-
scary, but I've done it.
So-
There are rare occasions where, well, first let me say, if you want the information on this, and stop me if I'm babbling too much.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, there is a list of incursions. Every morning I check it, and there's only
yeah.
one low second
Smart,
incursion
smart.
ever. There's only one low second incursion ever. So if I see it there and it's not ending, I just mark it in my head and avoid that constellation for the day. Got it. Okay, good. But sometimes there's no low second incursion, and that means one's going to start.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. I have had the rare occasion. That's when I've done crazy things like that, where I've picked it up, and I'm heading towards the destination, and suddenly the destination's in an incursion that just started 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
Right. And so I can't go in there. And at that point, there's a couple scenarios. One is, are you going to gate through there? Maybe it's quiet constellation, right? And you just gate through to it. A little scary. You can always Sino out of an incursion, act incursion, but you can't Sino into it, right? So I can get myself out if there's a problem.
Yeah, that's what Galactica 789 in chat said was like if you have the exit Sino, you're safe.
Yeah, and he did have a question for you as well. If you've ever gotten bumped off of a gate or killed by a Nix on like a fake Freeport.
Strangely, never been hit by a super. It's not for lack of trying. No, I shouldn't say that. I have been hit by a super and I survived it.
Oh wow!
But yeah, I had bulkheads in there, and I got down once to like 10% structure.
Woo!
Yeah, and docked up and found there was no repair facility.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Well, it's
That's
no
got to
big
be
deal.
terrifying.
Well, you just sign them out to a place that does have a repair
Yeah.
facility, right? But what I was going to say was, uh, you want to guess how much it costs when you're down to 10% structure to repair a jump freighter?
Oh
Actually,
yeah,
yeah.
is that
What's that? That's gotta be like maybe it's 210 million.
Bingo! Probably more,
Oh,
yeah, well, probably more like 250, 300, but you're in the
close.
ballpark, you know. It ain't cheap. There goes all the profit for this run, man. I screwed up and I just threw away all the profit on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, maybe break even or get close. Lose
Yeah,
a little
but
bit.
the other one bounced off a gauge. Yeah, I've been
Better
bounced
than
off.
losing the freighter.
Yeah, yeah. I've been bounced off a few gates in my time, and it did not end well. I will say that the gate bouncing has been around for easily 5 years. And when I say gate, I mean station gate. It doesn't matter. It can be all sorts of ships. The most recent incarnation is pretty damn good, and you can see it because if you go onto Z kill boards and look only at jump freighter kills and go back, oh, I'd say a year or 10 months or something like that, you're gonna see about half the rate of jump freighter gankings, maybe one at most two a day. Now you're at 2 to 3 a day at least, is what I'm trying to say.
okay?
And that's definitely because the gate bumpers have got a good technique. Um, it is the cat and mouse game.
It is an art.
Yeah, and it is a cat and mouse game. So I would say gate bumpers have tried 8 to 10 different ships under different configurations over the years that I've seen. And the most recent one involves a Blops battleship moving really fast. Um, I think it ends up being pretty versatile too because they don't have a lot at risk, right? With other bumping
Well,
scenarios, you
so
don't
how
fight.
fast can a Blops battleship achieve? Because you could do I've seen a Typhoon with a command destroyer paired with it go 2K. Um, like, that's fast. Can a Blops go faster than 2K
I think
kilometers?
so. I don't
Wow.
really know, but I can tell you this: go into Igniton, sit at the gate into IN, right? Uh, and you watch the show.
One Nights and Max's Galactica.
Onis and Mox
Onis and Max.
and Macarials, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, it sounds like, I'm always blown away by all the different like weird stuff that can be done in Eve. And out of all of the like things in Eve, I find trucking to be you can't get an Eve trucking experience anywhere else. It's like Mad Max meets highway truckers, what's um, the ice or the one where they're up in the north, like Ice Road Truckers. It's like Mad
Yeah, Ice
Max
Road Truckers.
meets Ice Road Truckers is Eve Online with transportation and stuff like that. Like even a DST is extremely vulnerable to getting ganked. Like you go through all the lines of everything that says that it hauls a bunch of stuff is usually pretty likely to be up there in the gank territory. And I've done ganking of haulers, and it's a lot of fun because you're looking for these big whale fishes, and I feel
Yeah.
bad, that
I've gone whaling a time or
I'm,
two.
I'm ruining somebody's day to a certain degree, but I'm like,
No,
this
no,
is
no, no,
Eve.
no,
I
no, no,
don't.
no,
Like,
no.
I don't feel bad at all, Frozen.
Let's put this in perspective. It's a herd. The weak have to be thin.
Called-
Taking out my
What do you call the
competition,
herd?
right? And I can say this, because I put the time in to be good at it.
hmm
And my reason
Oh,
for saying it
absolutely,
is
you got good.
a very large number of gankers see me and see that jump freighter I just brought in, and they don't even bother trying because they've tried 20 times before and they know I go by them because I got techniques that help that get me past everything. And my point is, you as a
Respect.
ganker are making sure that my competition has to be as good as me.
Yeah. We're driving up your prices, man. We're making you more
Yeah.
money by killing other people.
But
We as a
realistically,
ganker.
but realistically, you're pointing out something, or you're touching on a topic that is pretty important. If you're in a DST, what are you learning about flying a jump freighter and how to fly it better? Or how to fly it once you're in it. Is there some skill that is carrying over? Well, you probably learn about gate camps. You probably learn about
Cloaky trick.
high sec ganking, um, that type of thing. But you'll notice that isn't really the sweet spot for jump freighter hauling. If you wanted to know the closest type of hauling to jump freighter hauling, the thing you could do before, and it's not even doing a regular freighter. Same problem, high sec, all sorts of stuff.
All right.
Finals. Um, it's a carrier.
Oh,
If you
okay.
haul stuff
Yep,
by
yep.
carrier, you are learning
Suitcase.
every bit is going to help you with the jump freighter. Go ahead.
Yeah, suitcases.
Suitcase. Yeah, so a little ways back, a good friend of ours, Al, gave me a Thanatos, and with this express the whole purpose of it was that I would arm it with smart bombs and drop it in the middle of the FFA 9, which was the last one, which I did, and that was a lot of fun. Got like 32 kills with those smart bombs before Snuff dropped me. But in the meantime, I learned about suitcasing, and I moved a lot of shit, like just in low sec, just back and forth, and yeah, so like and after it got blown up, that was probably the thing I missed the most. Like, it was really cool because I didn't even put in the skills to learn how to use fighters, because the express purpose of it was to put smart bombs on it. But I was like, I think it was Frozen was like, you can suitcase stuff, and I was like, what? And I have a Sino alt. Okay, sure.
Now there is a challenge with this though.
Oh yeah.
You can practice with your carrier and moving suitcases around, but I want to point out that you have a lot higher jump fatigue.
Yeah,
When
okay.
you
Yeah.
carry it.
So personally, like, it's okay. I've so to me that doesn't affect me because I'm not doing it commercially. I'm just like, I need to move
It's
uh
a good one-time thing.
12 of my ships to the front line so I can have a beachhead in Nissawa, for example. Um
but
and
but
yeah,
it,
so
it's a good one-time thing,
yeah,
or,
exactly.
or occasional. But I will point out, if you just took the free shipping offer by Galactic Hauling and CSM, you could just retire the carrier. Just as a point. Anyways,
All right, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
but,
that carrier got retired in
right,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
FFA.
But I'm really trying to drive at the idea that
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no nice progression through hauling up to jump freighter, and that ends up actually being an enormous barrier to entry, because you're right,
Right.
the amounts of ISK are very high. You go to the competitors, and there's for what I'll charge you 210 million, they're going to want upwards of 4, 5, 700 million to do the same
Wow.
thing, and they can charge those amounts, and I can charge the amounts I'm charging, because this barrier to entry is, and of course the enormous risk, along with the possibility of losing it all, or losing a 12 billion ISK ship, all acts as a barrier to entry. So we get
Yeah.
haulers moving up to DST and then stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
what
I
I
could
did.
I could
Yep.
I can say, yeah. I used DST. I haven't used it in a while, but I use it often, and I'll use uh a suitcase. I'm known to use a suitcase here and there, but like, I'm not ever like gonna go into hauling. Like, as a PvPer, it's nice that I can move my stuff around here and there, but I offer the service to corp members because we're small, but if we got just a little bit bigger, I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna outsource it to someone like, I'm gonna outsource it to you, obviously, not someone like you. I'm gonna outsource it to you, like, but like, but saying that, it's like, I'm not like suitcasing, like you said, it's not, it's different, and I, uh here's some intel for everybody out there. Full disclosure, I bought a dread just so that I could start suitcasing again. But also because at some point I want to drop that dread on somebody's face. So right now it doesn't have any weapons, but it does have like 1.1 million EHP. Not that it matters because I'm just gonna suitcase it. Like the worst I can do is lose my Sino, unless I really fuck up, which is possible. It's absolutely possible. I don't have a whole lot of experience with that sort of stuff.
But the Dread does have the same problem that the Carrier does.
Yeah.
The jump fatigue, and if you want a nice sort of general way of putting what jump fatigue means, if I'm in a jump freighter and I go station to station, I have to wait, real simple, 10 minutes in a station.
Yes.
And then I can move on to the next one, and my jump fatigue won't increase.
Yes, I do, Z-Drone.
Yeah. However, if you're in that Dread or that Carrier,
it's like an hour, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So see again, right there, that it's okay for me personally, but then if I offer the service to more than one of my corp mates, then it becomes a problem, right? And because I can't, I just don't like I'll move some stuff. Like it's basically like, hey, I have a little bit of extra space in my maintenance bay right now. I'm due for another moving some stuff to the front line. If anybody is available that needs a couple of ships moved, it's not the same. Like I cannot I don't have the capacity to move the amount of stuff that 210 million can get you, which sounds like the lowest price that I've heard for hauling. Was it you said 4 billion?
Yep, up to 4 billion. In 360,000 meters cubed.
Yeah, 360,000 meters cubed. So, and that's
7 battleships, right?
Yeah, because they'd be packaged.
Guess how many frigates it is? More than you can lose in a week, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a challenge.
A lot of ships.
If I really wanted to, I think I could lose that many in a week. But
the thing I love is that if you break it down to making a comet, how much space that is, like to make a comet or the Catalyst Navy.
I think it's 20. I believe it's 24 frigates to a battleship.
But then if you bring it to minerals, it's like double that. Like,
yeah,
which is crazy. Like the crazy amount of, and then with faction warfare, just having us spit out. It's one of the things that I really love about the changes that they made to faction warfare was the encourage me to use blueprints and to build stuff now.
Yeah, I mean that's the only reason that I have experience now building stuff is because of that.
Yeah, and I want to point out also Hungary having facilities there for you to build that, right, with the most efficient manner helps. That's why I built my last jump freighter there.
Yeah, HQ is a really good space to.
Yeah, it's second only to Jeddah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
for Gal Mill.
We are coming up on the hour here, so I just want to give you one last little spot here. If you've got any website or any forum post that you want to direct us to, or any thing that you want to promote at this point, or any shout-outs that you'd like to give, just give you a little bit of a spot here before we wrap things on up. So take us away, beaconBoy. That camera.
So definitely come over to the channel GHSOL. I have a FAQ there going over all the details, the terms and conditions and stuff like that, and that's where you can get some help setting up that first contract, that first paid contract. I also have forum posts at this point in time, and I'm doing all the usual Twitter shows and stuff to spread the word, grassroots, as much as I can. I haven't set up any website at this point in time. Maybe I will once they announce the CSM election. But right now, it's as simple as coming by and creating a paid contract and vote for me and spread the word. Nothing too nothing too much there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Thanks, Samson, for co-hosting for me tonight. And thank you all for watching. If you're interested in joining up with the war effort, go ahead and put an application into Golden Age Stories in-game. You can watch us live on Twitch every Sunday at 2200 Eve time. That's 5 p.m. Central Time. And if you missed the show live, you can always watch the recording of our podcast, The Federation Frontline Report. You can find that on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, stuff like that. It's all over the place, pretty much all over the podcasting, anywhere that there's a podcasting platform. So definitely check out our website, federationfrontline.com, for more information on our alliance, our podcast, friends, the show, EVE Online, and much, much more. If you have news that you'd like us to talk about on the show, or you'd like to be a guest, or you have an after-action report you'd like us to report on, any news or whatever, shoot an email to Frozen Fallout in-game, and we will look into getting that onto the show or getting you onto the show. Thanks, everybody, and have a great night.
Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for coming, and good night, New Eden.